So I think I'll start by addressing most, if not all, of the major atheistic stereotypes that I've heard and have been accused of over the years. And this video is really not meant for the fundamentalist who continues to propagate these moronic stereotypes, because these people are way too far gone for anyone to get through to them, because with them it's just in through one ear, out through the other. But at least I can correct some people on their flawed thinking, and maybe for the moderates, show them what an atheist truly is, what an atheist truly believes, etc. Stereotype number one: atheists are all miserable people without a God in their lives. This also has a minor variation of the question, isn't believing in something better than believing in nothing at all? And of course, this is a very fallacious statement. We atheists do believe in things, and we just believe in very different things. And certain things we don't believe in is because we don't find any reason to believe in them at all. Like many Christians, I'm sure, or many religious people, would not believe in the existence of a rival God. So I don't understand how they themselves expect to convince atheists to believe in their God when they themselves would not believe in the existence of a rival God, despite the fact that both their religion and the rival religion have the exact same amount of evidence to prove their case. And the very notion that people say that believing in something is going to make you happier than not believing in something is no more meaningful to me than saying that being an alcoholic is going to make you happier than being a sober person. Stereotype number two: atheists like to pick on insert religion here because it gives them purpose in life. This is one that I often hear from Christians for some odd reason. I don't understand why, because not only are Christians the majority in the world, but the fact remains that history has shown that Christians have been the ones persecuting atheists and hating on atheists, not the other way around. Of course, that's not to say that it can't go the other way around, but it generally isn't likely. And to me, it really sounds like people who try and put forth this stereotype are just trying to play the victim card, which is in and of itself pretty dishonest, but yeah, it's like, why are you picking on us poor, innocent Christians? Can't you just leave us alone to do and believe whatever we want? Well, the problem is if a governor in a state in the most powerful country in the world, military-wise, essentially says to the public that he can't find any way to fix his state's problems, and the only solution he can come up with is to organize a huge Talk to the Sky festival in a huge stadium for everyone to join in with him and pray that everything gets better. If that's the best solution he can come up with, then I'd say that's kind of a major problem. So, as hard as it might seem to believe, not all atheists, agnostics, and skeptics are all out to just punish the everlasting crap out of all of you religious folk. The fact remains that many of us criticize religion because it hurts people, and it affects our lives whether we want it to or not. This stereotype comes in multiple parts. So, part 3A. Atheists are in fact secret believers. They are just atheists because they want to deny their sinful nature and sin all they want. Let me retort by asking you a question then. Have you ever heard of a case where some atheist decided to steal or rape or kill, and he said, well, I did that because I know that there is no God, and I know that no God exists, and I can go rape and kill and steal while I want? Well, I'm sure you can probably find some example in history, but I guarantee you'd be hard-pressed to find many. On the other hand, how many instances have I heard of Christians beating their children to death because of what it says in the Bible? How many instances have I heard of priests molesting children and feeling justified to doing so? How many instances have I heard Muslims um, throwing bombs into America? How many instances have I heard of Muslims beating their wives and homosexuals to death? There are just too many to count. So I can essentially just reverse engineer this whole argument to suit my purposes and say, well, you're only religious because you think that what you're going to do and your actions will be justified and will eventually help you gain reward or avoid punishment. Stereotype number 3B. Atheists are in fact secret believers. They just tell themselves that they're atheists because they don't want to believe in a god. As I've said before, disbelief and belief, but disbelief in particular, is not a choice. It is an involuntary reaction, essentially, of the subconscious. And no matter how much I want to turn off my skepticism, no matter how much I may want to turn off my disbelief, the fact remains that even if a gun was pointed at my head, I still would not be able to see what theists see as evidence. And flush this out for me because I really don't understand this logic. Is the creationist logic that if I can tell myself an infinite number of times that God doesn't exist, maybe I might, by some perchance, happen to convince myself that God might not exist? Does anyone not see the flaw in this logic at all? Is it not so blatantly obvious that I could easily reverse engineer your own argument to say that you only believe in a particular God of your choice because you're afraid of what happens if God, in fact, doesn't exist? Aha. Argument part 3C. Atheists are only atheists because it's hip and trendy. As I've already mentioned before, atheists remain one of the most persecuted and acceptably persecuted groups in North America today. That is, that it is socially acceptable to persecute atheists, agnostics, and skeptics in America and get away with it. So unless your idea of hip and trendy is to earn the stigmatization and alienation of others around you, then I really see this stereotype as being completely nonsensical. Stereotype number 4, and the most recent one that I've heard, at least addressed to me, was atheists are only atheists because of their upbringing. So this is going to be another one of those religious double standard things, where if an atheist had a hard and difficult upbringing, then they're gonna say, well, of course they're an atheist. They're just angry at God for making their lives so fucking miserable. And if an atheist had a relatively measy upbringing, then they're gonna say, well, you were just spoiled as a child and your parents didn't raise you properly, and that's why you're mad against God. So it's going to be a double standard either way. There's no way I can say anything to that to counter this double standard. Stereotype number 5. Atheists are all arrogant and proud, and that is why they don't want to believe in a God. This is something that I really can't say much if that's directed at me personally, because, well, maybe I do seem arrogant and proud and cocky to some people, and that's inevitable. But if the whole argument here is that atheism, the lack of belief itself, is an arrogant thing to uphold, that I can definitely contest. Because I see absolutely nothing wrong with atheism. I see nothing wrong with approaching things skeptically and prudently, especially if those claims are from supernatural origin, which have absolutely no basis in empirical evidence. I see no reason for anyone to think that it is arrogant to say that I don't believe in something because I see insufficient evidence to do so, or because I do not want to conform to what everyone else believes. I see nothing arrogant in that. In fact, I think that's the more humble position. So that about covers at least most of the stereotypes that I've heard about us atheists. So if you have any more to post, or if you still want to argue for some of these fairly moronic stereotypes that can be easily reverse engineered and have absolutely no backing in empirical evidence whatsoever, then feel free to let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching, and may the truth always be heard.